What's up everybody, welcome back to A Ball and a Goal. My name is Cornel, and in this video I'm gonna talk about the Game Week 6 wildcard. It's not gonna be a wildcard draft kind of video. I think the fantasy managers need a lot of information, and also they need to be presented a lot of options. I think there's plenty of paths that we can go with this wildcard, and I don't think there's a good or bad answer. I think they are all viable options. So I will try to get out a lot of information and also present a lot of options, like I said. When it comes to the Game Week 6 wildcard, for me personally, 4 positions out of your 15 position in your squad are a lock. I consider them a lock. The second goalkeeper, I think, has to be a 4.0 million goalkeeper, most likely Fabianski. We saw Areola a couple of times, at least one time as far as I remember, being subbed off with an injury. So Fabianski for me is the one that comes out on top from the 4.0 million goalkeepers. The fifth defender as well has to be, in my opinion, a 4.0 million defender. Now Leicester data looks better from the defensive point of view than the one that Ipswich has, so Fair for me looks like a better option. But Greaves as well, most likely it's going to be a defender that is going to sit on the bench. Rarely I can see a situation in which he will play. I also think that midfield number 5, it's a lock option. In my opinion, has to be a 4.5 million midfielder. Now I know that a lot of managers either started with Rodgers or got him afterwards. He rose now to 5.1 or 5.2. I just feel that 0.6, 0.7 million will be better spent elsewhere. Call me an old-fashioned guy, but I really want my fifth midfielder to be as cheap as possible. And to be reliable, of course, a guy that will play regularly and can come off the bench in a case of an emergency. I think Harry Winks is the best option. I just feel like Rodgers is more like a bench boost type of player, the one that you're gonna use when you activate that chip. He will get returns, no doubt about that. The problem is that we don't know exactly when he's gonna get them, and unless you want to play him every single week, in which case it's a perfect viable option, I just don't see a good reason to get him in your team. Most likely he will give you a lot of benching headaches. Like I said, football is unpredictable. We don't know when he's gonna get his returns, and the last thing you want is having a 10, 11, 12 pointer on your bench, which will happen, I think, in Rodgers' case. If you want to play him every single week, then I think, yeah, it's actually a very good option. The cheap price plays, I think he played 90 minutes in all the games so far. Looks good, plays for a team that plays well as well. So yeah, if you, like I said, consider playing him every single week, then it's a viable option. If not, I just don't see the value in it. Most likely be on the bench, giving you a lot of headaches with benching. And like I said, football being so unpredictable, it will be hard to put him on the field exactly in the game that he will get the returns. And also I think the position for forward number 1, it's a lock. Haaland, obviously, there's no discussions around it. I think he looks great, probably the best since he came at City. 10 goals in 5 games, so definitely he's gonna break some records for sure this season in the Premier League. So those 4 positions, in my opinion, are a lock. The second goalkeeper, the 5th defender, the 5th midfielder, and number 1 forward. Now, there's a couple of things that I want to talk about. They are extremely important, in my opinion, and they will sway managers one way or another come game week 6. And those are the Arsenal triple up due to the fixtures they have coming up. Leicester at home in game week 6, Southampton at home in game week 7, and Bournemouth away in game week 8. So yeah, obviously triple up on Arsenal looks really good. Playing at home against two newly promoted sides, Southampton being defensively with a poor record, not so much Leicester. But definitely Arsenal can rack up some goals in these particular two home fixtures. Even the one away at Bournemouth looks pretty good. There's the two ways that you can go about it. It's double defense plus one attacker. Basically, you have to make a choice between Raya and Saliba, sorry, and Gabriel being the second option in the defense, definitely. And then again, decision has to be made between Saka and Havertz. The second option is one defender or the goalkeeper plus a double attack, which means you have to choose between Raya and Gabriel and then go with Saka and Havertz. The first option basically means that you're going to pay less money for 2 clean sheets, getting the goalkeeper. But in my opinion, again, call me old-fashioned, I just don't like having a 4.5 million goalkeeper. I think that 1 million could be better spent elsewhere. But I understand perfectly people who want to go with Raya, basically, except for Timber, which I think is 5.5 as well. He is the cheapest way to get into Arsenal defense, which looks like they're going to keep a lot of clean sheets this season. So yeah, I understand it personally, but also, like I said, call me again old-fashioned. I just think that a 4.5 million a goalkeeper, it's a better option, given the fact that you will save that 1 million. Of course, you can look at the things from the other perspective, saving money but going for Raya instead of Saliba. Also, for the second option, I wrote here that Trossard will be missing, but then I realized that they're going to play a League Cup game in the midweek, so he will be available for the game against Leicester. To be honest, I don't know what to make of Havertz. I think he is a good option, but he's more like a let's call it a gambling option. I think there are better attacking options for the wildcard. However, high risk, high reward. We all know how it works in this game. So I won't be surprised if he comes up with a couple of goals in these two games. But like I said, I think there are better options, especially for a wild card. But I totally understand the people who want to go for him and for Saka and just one defender or the goalkeeper. The second thing that I want to look at, it's Everton fixtures. Here are Everton's fixtures for the next 7 game weeks, and as you can see, they will play 6 teams that they are bottom 7 basically for expected goal conceded per 90. So it's a really good run of fixtures for Everton. Game week 6 at home against Crystal Palace, which is 14th ranked. From a defensive point of view, 1.65 expected goal conceded per 90. Then again at home against Newcastle, 15 ranked as a defensive unit, 1.76 expected goals conceded per 90. They will play away at Ipswich Town, which is bottom of the league when it comes to defensive data, 2.22 expected goals conceded per 90. Then at home against Fulham, which their defensive data doesn't look too bad right now, but bear in mind that I have played 2 newly promoted sides in the first 5 game weeks of the season. They had played Leicester and Ipswich, so their defensive data might be a little bit tinted by those two fixtures. Then in game week 10, they'll play away at Southampton, 1.97 expected goals conceded per 90, which puts them 17 in the defensive rankings. Then in game week 11, away at West Ham, 2.02 expected goals conceded per 90, 18th in the rankings. And then in game week 12, they're going to play at home against Brentford, 2.22 expected goals conceded per 90. Like I said, tied with Ipswich for the last place, 19th and 20th. So yeah, an amazing run of fixtures for Everton, which obviously puts Dominic Calvert-Lewin into the discussion. And also maybe a defender, like Mykolenko, for example. But definitely, I think Calvert-Lewin it's worth taking a look at. Giving this amazing run of fixtures they're going to have. 4 games at home in the next 7. And like I said, 6 out of these 7 fixtures are being played against teams that are bottom 7 for expected goals conceded per 90. Then the next thing, it's Bournemouth fixtures. Next two look pretty good. Southampton at home and Leicester away, 2 newly promoted sides. We all remember Smith Rowe did pretty good when Fulham play back-to-back games against the new promoted sides. Bournemouth are second for shots with 84 in the league so far, and third for shots on target with 28. So that it looks really, really good from an attacking point of view. And this is exactly where we're going to look at. And I think there are 2 great options in the midfield, Semenyo and Tavernier. Semenyo with 5.02 shots per 90 and 1.26 shots on target per 90. And Tavernier with 3.08 shots per 90 and 1.23 shots on target per 90. Really good numbers, and I think both of them are really good options. Semenyo feels like a more safer pick that a lot of managers probably are gonna look to bring in, but also Tavernier can be a guy that can have 2 very good games. I think his start of the season was really, really good. So yeah, I think they both worth considering, and definitely from the fixtures point of view, I think Bournemouth attacker looks a pretty good option in your wildcard team. The next thing that I think is really important are pinpointing the teams that they will play 4 home games into the next 6 game weeks. And those are Brentford, Nottingham Forest, Wolves, Manchester United, and Chelsea. So those 5 teams are going to play into the next 6 game weeks, 4 games at home. Brentford at home with West Ham and Wolves, followed by a trip to Manchester United, then Ipswich at home, Fulham away, and Bournemouth at home. A really good run of fixtures for Brentford from the attacking point of view. Nottingham Forest, very good defensive data. I think they are second in the league for expected goal conceded per 90. Fulham at home, Chelsea away, Crystal Palace at home, Leicester away, West Ham and Newcastle at home in 10 and 11. Yeah, I think definitely defender, probably, and maybe an attacker as well, but definitely I think a defender looks pretty good on a wild card. Like I said, second for expected goal conceded per 90, and bear in mind they played Liverpool away and Brighton away as well. So they did have some difficult fixtures, and their data looks pretty good. Another team that they will play 4 games at home in the next 6, it's Wolves, at home with Liverpool, away at Brentford, home with City, away at Brighton, and home with Crystal Palace and Southampton. Yeah, unfortunately for them, Liverpool and Manchester City at home doesn't look too good, especially from a defensive side of things, and their defensive data doesn't look too good either. Manchester United at home with Tottenham, away at Villa, at home with Brentford, away at West Ham, home with Chelsea and Leicester. And then Chelsea home with Brighton and Nottingham Forest, away at Liverpool, home with Newcastle, away at Manchester United, and home with Arsenal. If you ask me, my personal opinion, I think Brentford and Nottingham Forest fixtures look great from those 5 teams. I think Chelsea, in particular, the games that they're going to play at home, 3 of them, Brighton, Nottingham Forest, and Arsenal, are against teams that they have very good defensive data. So they are not that good from an attacking point of view, even though, to be fair, with Chelsea, they look pretty good, especially in the last couple of games going forward. And then Manchester United and Wolves, in my opinion, to be considered from this list. But definitely, I think Nottingham Forest and Brentford fixtures look really, really good. Now, another thing that I think it's important to mention is 4 teams are going to play the next 2 games at home, back-to-back. So exactly after you're going to use your wildcard in Game Week 6, you're going to have 4 teams that they are going to play the next 2 fixtures at home. And those are Arsenal, and we talked about that, about the triple up, Leicester and Southampton, 13 and 17 on... for expected goals conceded per 90, so really, really good fixtures for Arsenal. Brentford, West Ham and Wolves. West Ham 18th for expected goals conceded per 90, and Wolves 11th. So yeah, 2 good fixtures for Brentford as well. Chelsea, like I said, from attacking point of view, not so great. Brighton 7th and Nottingham Forest 2nd for goals, for expected goals conceded per 90. And then Everton, we touched on that when we look at their fixtures for a long term. Crystal Palace at home and Newcastle at home, which are 14th and 15th for expected goals conceded per 90. Especially Newcastle away from home doesn't look too good. They just lost 3-1 at Fulham. So yeah, good fixtures, I'll say, for Arsenal, Everton and Brentford. Again, good for Chelsea as well. It's just, in my opinion, the teams that they are playing against, even though the games are at home, are teams that defensively they look pretty good, at least at the beginning of the season. And the last thing is the teams that they are going to play 2 games away from home in 6 and 7. So it's an important thing to consider when you're going to use your wildcard. Liverpool, Tottenham, Fulham and Southampton. Now, of course, Southampton, nobody's going to pick up too many players from them. Liverpool away at Wolves and Crystal Palace. Wolves 11th and Crystal Palace 14th for expected goals conceded per 90. Tottenham away at Manchester United and Brighton. Manchester United 10th for expected goals conceded per 90 and Brighton 7th. And Fulham away at Nottingham Forest and Manchester City. Really 2 tough fixtures for Fulham. Now, I mentioned here one thing. For those who have Smith Rowe, his returns in the league so far came only at home. So you can look at bringing either on a transfer or on a wildcard a Bournemouth midfielder for those 2 fixtures that Bournemouth have in 6 and 7. And then, because of Bournemouth fixtures doesn't look too good from game week 8 up until 11, you can bring back Smith Rowe. I think it's a perfect combination here. Like I said, he delivered only at home so far this season, and the next 2 games for Fulham are away from home, whereas Bournemouth fixtures for the next 2 look pretty good. They are pretty much around the same price, Smith Rowe and Semenyo and Tavernier. I think Smith Rowe is a little bit more expensive, but I do think if Semenyo or Tavernier get a goal or an assist in the next game week, their price will go up a little bit. So bear that in mind. Just make sure, if you want to do this thing, leave a couple of pennies in the bank. So definitely one thing to consider. Now, finally, we're going to look at the players that we consider for the wildcard. I will start with the goalkeepers. Option 1, in my opinion, will be Raya and a 4.0 million goalkeeper. Option 2 will be, in my opinion, Sels from Nottingham Forest plus 4.0 million goalkeeper, or Verbruggen from Brighton and a 4.0 million goalkeeper. I think, in my opinion, Sels and Verbruggen are the best options if you want to go for a cheaper goalkeeper. But definitely, like I said, I understand people who want to go for Raya at 5.5 and then 4.0 million goalkeeper. When it comes to the defense, I think, again, there are basically two options that you can go with. Either a 3 premium, let's call them premium, and a 4.5, which has to be a solid pick, and then a 4.0 million defender. The 3 premiums are the ones that you're going to actually play every single week. Still, I think it's good to have a solid 4.5 million defender just in case something happens. And I think the best options are Trent. I think he still is the best option when it comes to the defenders, and especially with Liverpool keeping clean sheets in 4 out of the 5 games so far. They only conceded once in the league, so definitely they look good defensively. And also Trent on free kicks, on corners. So yeah, he's gonna get some attacking returns for sure. Van Dijk and Konate also, they can be considered, especially if you want to save some money. But if you can stretch to Trent, I'll definitely do it. And when it comes to Arsenal, I think Gabriel definitely the best option by far. Scored 2 goals in the last 2 games. They look very good from set pieces, Arsenal. So I can see more returns from him coming this season. Definitely the best option from Arsenal, like I said. Saliba as well, if you want to go, but I just don't see too much upside for the same price, and doesn't offer too much going forward. And then Timber, if you want to take a risk, he looked good so far. I'm just afraid, with the Champions League coming up, there might be some rotation in the fullback positions. And then from Manchester City, I think the safest pick will be Guardiola, especially if Kyle Walker starts to play more. Then we'll give Guardiola that role of going forward more than if Rico Lewis plays on the right. He is still a good option in my opinion. I'm not sure exactly what's going to happen now with Rodri being out for the rest of the season. We all know Guardiola might come up with something new that nobody thinks about. So yeah, one option in my opinion is to maybe get 2 Arsenal defenders for game week 6 and 7. And then reassess after that and make a transfer from 1 Arsenal defender to 1 Manchester City defender in game week 8. That might be an option. That might give you a little more information to see exactly how they're going to line up defensively. And then for the 4.5 million defenders, I think Brighton with Dunk, Nottingham Forest with Aina and Savic, and Everton with Mikolenko are probably the best options to go with. Definitely Dunk and Nottingham Forest defender. I really like Savic. His data is pretty good as well. Played 2 finals of the Conference League with Fiorentina in the last 2 years. Both of them lost, of course, but definitely I think he's a good player. He's a threat from corners and free kicks. So yeah, I think he worth to be considered as well. Now the second option is to go with 2 premiums and 2 solid 4.5 picks, and then 4.0 million defender. Again, Gabriel, the best option from Arsenal. Trent, the best option from Liverpool. I think if you want to go with 2 premiums, I think Arsenal and Liverpool, just for the safer minutes and playing time, comparing with the Manchester City. Like I said, talking about the option number 1, you can go with 2 Arsenal defenders and then reassess in game week 8, see how Manchester City is lining up defensively. And then for the two 4.5 picks, I think Dunk and Nottingham Forest defenders, and also Mikolenko giving the run that Everton has. One thing I will say about Everton, last season I remember Pickford looked terrible and their defense looked terrible, to be honest, after the first 7-8 game weeks, and then in the end he turned out to be, Pickford I mean, the best pick for the goalkeeper. So don't rule them out. I still think that they look better than they are in the league right now. So yeah, it will feel more like a gambler pick, basically going with Everton. But I still think that Sean Dyche will turn things around, and I think eventually they will come good. When it comes to the midfielders, I put them in 3 categories. Basically, I divided them in 3. So the first one will be the safer options, and I think those are Saka, Palmer, Eze, and Fernandes. And I think on a wild card, you should have 2, if not 3, from the safe pick. So Saka 11 shots, 7 on target, 0.77 expected goal involvement. Palmer 11 shots, 4 on target, 0.67 expected goal involvement per 90. Eze 20 shots, 6 on target, 0.52 expected goal involvement per 90. And Fernandes 17 shots, 3 on target, 0.63 expected goal involvement per 90. If you ask me, I think the best options are Eze and Saka. But I totally understand people who want to go for Palmer and even Fernandes. I just think when it comes to Eze and Fernandes, they've really been unlucky. Their data is good. Especially in Eze's case, I think you're talking about a player who you don't have to worry about starting or not unless he's not fit. Yeah, you can say that given the fact that he's not on penalties might diminish his appeal just a little bit. But you will see over the weekend as well, Mateta came off in the 45th minute. So if there was a penalty awarded to Crystal Palace in the second half, Eze would have taken it. So I think still he is a good pick. His data is pretty good, 20 shots so far, 6 on target. I'm pretty sure he'll come good. They still need a win. They haven't won yet in the league. Three draws in 5. Fernandes, again, I think comes up with your personal preferences and how you see the game. I understand if you are put off by it, and I understand also if you want to go with it. Like I said, I think it's come down to a personal point of view and how you see the game. Saka looking good, especially with those 3 upcoming features for Arsenal, and I think Palmer as well. Like I said, in Chelsea's case, even though they are playing 2 games at home back-to-back in 6 and 7, the defensive data for Brighton and Nottingham Forest look pretty good. Now, that being said, I won't be surprised if they get, like 2 or 3 goals in each game. It can happen. Like I said, football is extremely unpredictable. Then the second category that I put the midfield in is the fixture one. And I think on a wildcard you should have at least 1, in some managers even 2 players from this list. And they are Semenyo and Tavernier, Mbuemo and McNeil. Bournemouth for the short term, Brentford and Everton fixtures for the long term look really, really good. Between Semenyo and Tavernier, like I said, in my opinion, it's closer than a lot of people consider. I think both of them can have 2 amazing games. Semenyo at 5.83 touches in the penalty area and 0.74 expected goal involvement per 90. Tavernier at 2.92 touches in the penalty area at 0.59 expected goal involvement per 90. Mbuemo 3.80 touches in the penalty area per 90 at 0.60 expected goal involvement, and McNeil 1.80 touches in the penalty area and 0.50 expected goal involvement. Now, of course, Mbeumo's got the upper hand, being on penalties, and Visa out as well, so I think he's the main man. If I had to pick just one from this list, it will be definitely him. But if I had to go with two, I think will be him and probably a Bournemouth midfielder. Like I said, Semenyo gets the upper hand, but I think Tavernier as well is worth considering, especially if you go for just 2 weeks for a Bournemouth defender. I think it's a 50-50 call. And McNeil, obviously, Everton fixtures look really good going forward, but I think if you're going for Dominic Calvert-Lewin, then it's not worth doubling up on Everton attack. Last thing I want to look at is the forwards, of course, and as well I divided them in 3 categories here, and I'll go first with the safest picks, and those in my opinion are Watkins, Wood and João Pedro. Players that you know, if they are fit, they are going to play, they are important for their teams. Watkins finally got 90 minutes in the last game. I thought for a period of time that he will be subbed off pretty much every single game, but apparently he's 100% now, so it looks like he's going to play. Still, I won't be so sure if I see him coming off around 60-65 minutes. Let's not forget that the game at the Young Boys probably was the easiest fixture that Aston Villa had in their Champions League calendar. 46.2 percentage shots on target for Watkins, 70% shots on target for Wood, the best from this list, and 50% shots on target for João Pedro. Watkins and Wood with 3 goals apiece, Watkins with an assist as well, and João Pedro with 2 goals so far. Like I said, in my opinion, those are the safest picks from the forwards. Obviously, Haaland gets 1 slot. So for the other 2, if you want to go with any combination involving these 3 players, I think you should be just fine. So Watkins, Wood, João Pedro. And in my opinion, based on the price, I think the best pick is Chris Wood. The next thing will be the fixture pick. And again, I have 3 players here: Jackson, Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Evanilson. Now in Evanilson's case, I think I put him here, but I still think that going for a Bournemouth midfielder will be the best option. When it comes to Jackson and Dominic Calvert-Lewin, I think their fixtures look good. Like I said, Everton up until game week 12 or 13. Jackson back-to-back home games and 4 games at home in the next 6. Though, like I said, the defensive data for the teams that Chelsea is playing against is pretty good. 61.5 percentage shots on target for Jackson so far, 4 goals and 2 assists. Look pretty good, even though he will be, in my opinion, subbed off around 60, 65, 70 minutes, depends on the game. This year, 36.4 shots on target percentage, 2 goals and 1 assist so far. And Evanilson with 25 percentage shots on target, no goals and no assists yet in the league. If I had to make a pick, it all depends again on how many transfers you have going into the wildcard. For the short term, will definitely be Jackson, but for a longer term, will definitely be Calvert-Lewin. And then the last thing I want to look at is the gambler's pick for the forwards, let's call it that way. And there will be Solanke, Havertz and Cunha. I put Cunha here just because Wolves are playing 4 games at home in the next 6. So if you wanna, it all depends how you wanna, play. If you wanna protect your rank, if you are far down the rankings and you want to climb, definitely you have to look for somebody differential. And I think from the forwards, based on the fixtures, I think Cunha looks the best in my opinion. And Solanke and Havertz, again, like I said, it all depends on your strategy and basically how many transfers you're going to have after you're using the wildcard. Some people might have 2 or 3. Some people might not have any transfers free after that, just 1 in game week 7. I think Solanke looks good from game week 8 onwards, and I think a lot of managers will try to get him in. if you don't have too many transfers left, maybe the best option will be to get him in on a wild card and just hope for, maybe a return in the next two. I won't be surprised if he gets at least one. And then Havertz, once again, it's all depending on how you're planning your Arsenal triple up, either double defense or double attack. He can be, he can smashing into the next 2 game weeks, or he can come without any return. My personal opinion, I think that he will return in the next 2 game weeks. However, depending on how many transfers you have left, it might be safer to go with somebody else and just go with double Arsenal defense and Saka in the midfield, which I think still it's a better option than Havertz. So that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and until next time, I wish everybody a wonderful day. Bye bye.